Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. I'm going to be joined today by the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Fernandez, joining us straight from San Diego. I'm Puro Exit 7 over here representing you, bringing you the Alamo City Sportscast live from the beautiful west side of San Antonio. Fernandez, how's it going, brother?
Hey, I'm good, bro. What's up? What's good, all the listeners out there? Yeah, you seeing it, out here in a beautiful Southern California, San Diego. It's 8 a.m. out here, but you know what I'm saying? It's Friday, and like our boys say, we don't give a damn. You
We
know what I'm
don't give a
saying? So
damn. It's Manmosa hour, dude.
it's exactly it's man most of the time. Like I said, out in Cali, but always representing that puro. You already know how it goes. You know
Yeah.
what the move is.
Yeah, man. We're gonna have to cut the show a little short. We're not gonna usually go for about an hour and a half. We'll probably go for about maybe 45 minutes, an hour. And it's because I have things I got to do over here at work too,
I
because
hear you, bro. Yeah,
I was telling you, man, last night, man, everything was breaking at work, so I have to get back in
yeah,
here and
yeah, yeah,
help
yeah.
network back up and running here. We're gonna have a lot of problems today, so I know they're asking us to go in a little early, so I'm gonna have to cut a little short. Apologies for coming on late. We're trying to work through things. Mike let us know, that he wasn't gonna be able to make it today because he's feeling under the weather, man. He needs some of that Vicks con Sprite, some of that Sana Sana from Chica over there, and
Yeah, yeah.
he's been
You
feeling
need, hey, you need the Vicks on the bottom of the patas, all that shit. You know what I'm saying?
the whole bit, bro, the whole bit. But one of the things we're going to talk about and get right into it is San Antonio Spurs basketball, man. The San Antonio Spurs are in the midst of a two-game losing streak. I know everybody out there, the Sohan haters want to come out and point the finger right at Sohan. Yeah, he scored double digits, and every time he does, the Spurs lose. It's not so much Sohan's fault, man. It's the team just playing poor basketball out there on the court. They just can't shoot the basket well. Turning the ball over doesn't help. It just seems like right now the coaching staff needs to have a heart to heart. Mitch Johnson needs to get in there and get on their ass and tell them, hey, man, what's wrong with you guys? You got to go out there and put a better product out there on the court. Right now, they're just reverting back to the old ways, the ways that lost them games, and that's what we're seeing right now. The Spurs lost to the Chicago Bulls, man, by a final score of 139 to 124. And it's like the Chicago Bulls are a bad team. They're 10 and 13. They might be in the bottom of the Eastern Conference there, somewhere in the middle. But the Spurs are 11-11 right now. They're a 500 team. I mean, they're kind of similar in what they're doing, as far as their records are concerned. Chicago came in as the second best three-point shooting team in the league right now. I mean, and they proved it last night. They were no joke. Spurs didn't have an answer. Couldn't go out and guard them, couldn't guard the perimeter. They're just dropping threes, raining threes on them. When you have your Chicago Bulls center, man, and Nikola Vujacic dropping 39 points on you, that's gonna be a bad night, bro. And sure enough, Spurs fell down. They got behind early. They just couldn't catch up. Finally, they started making a run. They got it within 8 points, right, Rick? And then it
Yep.
just you couldn't do it, man. Trying to come back from that many points down against a team that's shooting the ball really well, you get tired, man. And that was proven. In the fourth quarter, the wheels came off. Spurs got tired. Shots weren't falling. They couldn't stop. They couldn't get their stops. And that was all she wrote, man. I mean, what do you think that's contributing to the Spurs in this two-game losing streak, man?
Um, you know, again, obviously, no Wemby out there. You don't have your best defender. You don't have your best player. It's really tough to win a game without Wemby. That's not like earth shattering things for me to say.
Yeah.
That's common sense. And then it throws everybody out of flux, right? You got Jeremy starting at the center. And I'm not. This isn't like blaming on anybody. It's common. Like again, it's common sense. Like everything's going to be thrown out of whack. You're going to have people in different positions. I mean, again, we keep talking about this, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I've been called a homer, and I've been called too positive, and all this stuff, and that's fine. You could
Take
you
your
can say
glasses
what you
off.
want. Yeah, yeah, you can say what you want. You can say what you want. But it is common sense. Like we said this before on this show. It just circumstances keep happening where we cannot see this team all healthy all at once, right? Sohan, Devin, now Wamby's out, right? Devin balled yesterday. Devin was balling out of control yesterday, right? So for every naysayer that says, "Oh well, Devin's the problem, right? Devin then shows that he does his thing, and then no, well, it's Jeremy. Well, no, it's even been Wemby at times, right? There's even been Wemby's shooting too much. He's the problem. Again, man, they are, and it's funny because again, no one thought, or not no one, but a lot of folks didn't think they'd even be in this situation right now. You got to go back to that. We got to remember that. Like a lot of folks didn't even think they'd be in the mix that they're in right now. As much as it's a 2-game losing streak and what their record is, a lot of folks thought they were going to have like 3 wins by this point in the season. So, I mean, to me, they're still overachieving. I mean, they're doing more than what a lot of folks thought that they would do. The Sacramento game, which I was at by the way, and it was amazing. That game was a showcase of how when things do go right and things get put together and all the threes were landing, how things can look. So, I don't know, man. And again, I love Mitch, man. And I love Mitch. I actually got to meet him that day in Sacramento, and we chatted a little bit. He was amazing. I told him like how great he's doing, how amazing he's doing, and he was really receptive. But we heard all this about he's so different than Pop, and he does things differently. He gets fire in them. We need to see it then, right? I mean, and I'm not saying he doesn't. I like his young coaching style. I like how he is a lot more fiery. But like you said, he does need to rally the troops. And Chris Paul, there was like a hot mic yesterday. I don't know if you heard that, where Chris Paul was going off on everybody, talking about like, man up, grab a man, do what you got to do. And he was just like cussing up a storm. And it was pretty funny because the mic caught it. I don't know, man. And it's shocker that I'm not going to be worried, because people are like, of course you're not worried. You're always positive about the Spurs. I'm really not like worried, given that they weren't even supposed to be here anyway. Like if you're not supposed to be here, right? And then you're overachieving, of course you're gonna fall short here and there. Bulls are shooting lights out. There was times where our offense or the Spurs offense was hitting and matching the Bulls, but they couldn't stop them on defense, right? And it was just a game of runs. And like you said, they brought it to 8, but you run out of gas at that point. You know what I mean? And they just got beat, man. Billy Donovan is a good coach out there, and they got a good squad. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know if it's as deep as people want to go with it. But yeah, man. I mean, again, would have loved to see more Mamu out there. You know what I mean? Again, man. It should never be this Mitch versus Pop thing. I think that is one of the most ridiculous things. It's as ridiculous as I remember last year. It was Sohan and Wemby don't like each other and they have beef, or he doesn't want to pass on the ball or some crazy nonsense. And I'm not making it a Mitch versus Pop thing, but if Mitch is different and he's going to bring a different flavor, let's see different lineups. Like I think Tavares is saying in our chat, let's see different lineups. Let's see more Mamu. Let's see more. We did see a little bit more Bassi. Let's see something. Hey, what's there to lose to see something kind of wild? Something. Let's get a little crazy, right? Yeah. There's a lot of Zach Collins out there that nobody wants to see. I've seen some funny things on Twitter. Like he has to have like pictures of somebody. He's blackmailing people to get into the court, right? Like how is he still getting out there, right? Like he has to have some dirt on somebody, right? Again, man, Sohan was battling on the boards on the glass yesterday. He was doing his those dirty things. He can't be your lead guy out there, and that's nothing against Sohan. I'm just saying, if complimenting from Wemby if was out there, Sohan would have been a lot more effective yesterday, because like I said, he was battling on the glass. He was doing dirty work, but yeah, man, I see a lot of like Midtown and different folks are in there talking about different lineups. I think it's worth a shot, man. Why not?
Yeah, one of the things that you can take away from yesterday's game, I mean, when you're looking at what both teams did beyond the arc, Chicago shot 17 of 37, good enough for 45.9% from beyond the arc. Spurs, again, man, they shot 8 of 28. From beyond the arc, their shooting percentage was just 28.6. That's not going to cut it. Then you look at the free throws. Spurs went to the free throw line a lot more than the Chicago Bulls. Chicago knocked down 18 of 23 of their free throw attempts, good enough for 78.3% on the night. Spurs went 39 times to the stripe, knocked down 28% of their shots, or 28 of their shots. Free throw percentage last night, 71.8%. If they had got a little bit more production out of the free throw shooting, that could have helped close the gap a little bit more. But again, off shooting night, you could see that just across the board there. Their field goals, for the night, the Spurs were 44 of 95, good enough for 46.3%. But the Bulls, they shot lights out, 52 of 90, and they were good enough for 57.8% from field goal range. I mean, that's their shooting percentage there. So again, they were just shooting lights out. Spurs didn't have an answer for them. Spurs turned the ball over 10 times. Chicago had more turnovers at 17, and they outscored the Spurs in the paint without Wemby. No surprise there. Spurs had 62 points in the paint compared to Chicago's 68 points in the paint. At the end of the night, what's going on here is that the Spurs just aren't getting production out of the players that they have on the court. And the thing is that I've said before to Spurs fans, regardless of how well the team was playing, them being a 500 team right now, when the dust settles at the end of the game, at the end of the day, because it's going to be an 82 game season, I fully expect that the Spurs are still going to be in that 32 to 35 game winning range. I mean, that's not going to change. And I even went on a couple episodes ago and I said the Spurs are going to win 2-3 games, maybe 4 games here and there. Then they're going to lose 2 or 3 or 4 in a row, then win a couple again, then lose a couple in a row. And that's the way it's going to be. It's going to be like a roller coaster ride, up and down. But it doesn't mean that the team is going to improve. Yes, they've improved, but at times, like we're seeing right now, they revert back to playing that old style of basketball that it's not really conducive to winning. And there does need to be a lineup change, I believe. You look to see the production of one, Zach Collins in particular. He's backing up Wemby. He hasn't done much as far as his production goes. I think it's time to go ahead and insert Charles Bassey. While he might not be a prolific shooter, he might not shoot the ball all that well. He brings the energy and he plays a lot better with this. A lot better with the team that's out there right now is what I'm trying to get at. And I think he's going to be that person that you want to go ahead and have back up Wemby. Maybe have Zach Collins be that third option. I mean, I've been saying this for quite some time. Zach Collins doesn't have the nickname Booty Crumbs for no reason. I mean, he might be a nice guy, but the style of basketball that he's playing right now on the court, he's living up to the hype, man. His name, Booty Crumbs. Come on, man. Get his brother out of here, man. Put Bass in lieu of him,
Yeah.
And I mean, you didn't have like a bad night from some of your starting five. The problem was they just couldn't knock down shots. Kevin Johnson led the team in scoring in the absence of Victor Wembanyama, 28 points. I don't know when Victor's going to come back. They might let him rest a couple more games before they insert him back into the lineup. If that happens, expect more of the same, Spurs fans. They're not going to win very many games without their superstar player. That could be said of any team as well. They don't have their best player on the court. How many games do you think they're going to win? While the Spurs have shown that they can match up well and they can win without Wemby, right now the team's just not feeling it. You can attribute it to them maybe being tired, or it's just them not wanting to put in the effort. One of the two. But they have another game on the back-to-back. They're going to be playing the Kings tonight. Kings are a good team that the Spurs, they could lose this game to the Kings. They could be in the midst of a 3-game losing streak right now. That's a very real possibility. So we're going to see what Mitch does tonight. We haven't gotten the report as far as the injury report from the Spurs yet. They're going to release that sometime today. But still, man, I mean, at the end of the day, you could fully expect that the team might be in the midst of a 3-game losing streak, and Spurs fans are going to point the finger at one player in particular, and that's going to be Jeremy Sohan, dude. He's a scapegoat, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Hey, we got a super chat from our boy Mario Cavazos.
Yeah, man. I'm going to go back and read that, dude.
Yeah. Go back there. It's actually pretty funny.
I have to go back, man. You all are quick.
Okay. I know, man. Yeah, no, I went back, but there you go. He says the Mitch and Fernandez bromance is in the making. Bros before holes. I love that. Hey, again, that's funny. Thanks, Mario. I love it. Hey, like I said, and we could talk about going to games a little bit later if you want, but I was blessed and lucky enough to get out to that Sacramento game, which was pretty awesome. And I got a chance to hang out afterwards and meet Mitch and Jacob, Toby, and Sean, and I took a pretty epic picture with them. And man, they were so cool, so interactive with fans. But thanks for that super chat, Mario. Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, man, I like Mitch, man. I mean, the dude's a Stanford grad. I mean, he's a pretty smart dude. You know what I mean? I think has a very high IQ when it comes to basketball and even outside of basketball. He's a smart dude. He's young. He's energetic. I definitely think he brings, a lot of good things to the table. And I think it's a mixture of, hey, it's Pop's structure and it's Pop's thing and it's Pop's vision. And then Mitch is kind of putting a little spin on it. So again, there's no Mitch versus Pop. It's a combination of both. You know what I'm saying? But just and kind of dialing back and kind of giving a foreshadowing of what we're going to talk about later on in the show. We're going to talk boxing. If Joe and I are on, we're talking boxing. But real quick, Mexican Junior says, I saw your shout out to Michael Nunn. Who just made the Boxing Hall of Fame, right? I met Michael Nunn in San Diego, took a picture of him. I put it out on my Twitter the other day. Follow me on Rick Fernandez to see that. Michael Nunn has an amazing story, one of the best fighters in the world in the 90s, got himself into some trouble, did 16 years in prison, came back, redeemed himself, and he just got inducted to the Boxing Hall of Fame with Vinny Pazienza and, of course, the great Manny Pacquiao. And Mexican Junior talking about his fight with Marlon Starling, which was a classic, and we'll get into boxing a little bit later. But another thing about, Zach, and I will say this, and people are probably going to laugh. Me being blessed to go to these games and kind of being able to hang out after the games and seeing some of the players, Zach is a really nice guy, man. And I know, like, being a nice guy and like $8 gets you a coffee, right, at Starbucks. And I get that, right? And that's why it's kind of funny that it's sad because he is, there's no defending his play. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to put a positive spin.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and try to put any kind of positive spin on Zach Collins' play. But I will say one thing. That dude is a really nice guy. He will come out after the games and talk to the fans and interact with fans and take pictures and sign autographs, maybe because he feels bad from his play or something. I don't know. Maybe they're like, hey, go out there and at least, greet the fans. But I'm just saying, man, if you ever get a chance to meet Zach, he's a really, really nice guy, man. Really cool guy. He endears himself to the fans, man. He definitely makes himself available, before the games and after the games.
I'm good, though, bro. I'm good.
I know. I'm just trying to put some perspective on this, right? We got to remember these guys are human beings, man. Like, I'm just saying, he is a really cool dude.
If he came up to me, I'm always by the tunnel. I'm always by the rail.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah, you're like he's like signing, and people are like, you're like, no, hold on, bro. I don't want to devalue this hat that for you to sign. I'm good, bro. I'm good.
The only thing you're gonna be signing that has a picture of you on it is you're gonna sign your booty crumbs, bro.
Yeah, I know, man. I know, man. But no, man. And again, I know people are gonna laugh and clown about it, and I'm just, like I said, man. Being a nice guy and $8 gets you a coffee, bro. And I get all that, but it's hard.
Being a nice guy, you ain't gonna come away with that girl.
This is facts. Nice guys finish last. That is very facts.
You're gonna go with your homie,
Yeah, exactly. You want to talk relationship advice? The nice guy ain't gonna get the girl, bro. Yeah. I'm just saying, dog. So, no, man.
Yeah, man. But we had Pledger in here, and he's saying, "How is that Atlanta pick looking?" We love you, Pledger. It's like it's not looking too good. Atlanta was supposed to be winning. They were supposed to be losing.
But that's also another. I've seen a lot of that, and shout out to Pledge, right? It's always a pleasure having him on and in the chat. I've seen that a lot about the Atlanta picks. Again, man, they might hit a skid too. We count our chickens a lot, right? We all get into, like, when our predictions are right, we're starting to point at it like, oh, I told you. But it's a long. 10 games from now, we don't know. Atlanta might hit another skid, and then we're going to be back to, oh, those picks are looking kind of nice. You know what I mean? So, again, it's like the time of the night at the bar, right? Early in the night, man, she might not be looking that hot. Towards the end of the night, a couple of drinks in you, she's looking a little bit better. You know what I mean? And come closing time, anything's looking better. So it's going to be waves, bro. It's going to be waves. The Spurs, same thing. They went on a little bit of a win streak. Everybody was ready to honk and count championships. And we're ready. We got this. Of course, they hit a skid, and now the sky's falling. Same thing with Atlanta. They were looking like crap earlier in the year. Everybody was rejoicing those picks. They hit a stride. They're winning some games. Now it's like, oh, those picks are garbage. They might be. They might not be. We don't know. You know what I mean? We gotta see these things through. We got to see these things through and let it play out, man. It's a long season, man. It's a long 82 games.
Matt Lerma says Spurs took an L, but yesterday game was great for his fantasy league.
See, this is why I can't play fantasy because of stuff like that, bro. I can't sit here and shout out to Matt Lerman, man. Good, he's the man, But I would get too wrapped up in like, oh man, I need my fantasy team I need Vooch to hit here, but I'm cheering for the Spurs, and I got enough going on in my own life to be worried about that kind of stuff. But shout out to Matt Lerma. Matt Lerma puts on some amazing spaces after the games. I apologize, Matt, that I haven't been able to jump on. I'm usually either at a game or like at a bar or restaurant watching the game, so it's kind of loud and hard for me to jump on those spaces. But I encourage people to jump on those spaces after the games with Matt, and I'm definitely going to jump on some this weekend because I'll be here at the crib watching it. But so shout out to Matt Lerma, and shout out to all the the Spurs Nation, man, all the folks in our chat and all the people out there who are we have differences of opinions, we laugh, we joke, but I tell you what, it's all love. And when I was out in Sacramento, man, I actually met some folks from Spurs Twitter. Awesome people. Rarely have had a bad experience with meeting somebody in person from Spurs Twitter. So.
Yeah, look at what James Pledger's saying. He's saying Ice Tray, Eastern Conference. That team was always going to be better than expected, bearing injury to Young. And you know what? He's
back here. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And again, you got to remember, man, the East Conference, man. Yeah. If the Spurs were in the East, their records would be, you know what I mean? Look at the record, right? Look where the standings they would be if they were in the East, right? And of course, there's a lot of if this and if that, right? All day long, but it's true, Pledge is right, that Atlanta team isn't bad. I mean, again, you got a guy like Trae Young.
That's the difference. They wanted them to be bad this year because they wanted that pick to convey. But the team,
of course,
is not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, what we want and what's reality are a lot different. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean that's I get that.
Spurs fans want the pick to convey, but the thing is, that's the problem with these picks. They might not always pan out, and Atlanta knew that. Taking a chance on themselves. So I mean, they got the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, So I'm like, they got Ice Tray out there. They let go of DeJounte Murray. Now he's over there with the Pelicans, which is a poverty-ass franchise right now. One of the worst teams in the NBA. I mean, it is what it is. We got a $10.47 incoming super chat from the Drew Show. And he's saying, I'm sure Mitch is as PO'd as me that these guys 3, 4, 5 years in the system making the same mistakes. I wish he could duck, walk, and low crawl these doofus up and down a football field. He goes, right, Marine.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He's talking about those painful learning experiences that Marines go through sometimes when they have to learn a lesson. You know what I mean? It's character building, right? And he's talking about duck walking and low crawling up and down a football field. I mean, again, you could use your common sense to figure out what that means, right? The way a duck walks, right? You get down, you squat, you swat, waddle up and down, and then low crawl, of course, getting down and low crawling. So, yeah, Drew Show, as a lot of times is on point on this show. Yeah, Mitch is upset, man. Mitch was pretty fired up yesterday, oh man, and. Again, man, I guess for me, and I know I just tend to be a positive guy in general, but I don't get too wrapped up just because, I mean, they're on par where we all, like Joe said, most people said they were going to be what, 35, 40 win games team, right? Most people said that. They're on par to be that. So if you made a prediction at the beginning of the season that they're going to be like a 35, 40 win team, right?
Yeah.
What do you expect? Like what we're predicting is actually happening. You know what I mean? So I don't understand I don't understand the outrage when it's basically the Spurs are panning out to be the team that most people picked them to be. You're not going to have a 35 win team or whatever without these 3-game losing streaks and this and this and that. So it's funny to me that people get so outraged when this is what we all predicted, more or less. I mean, you know what I mean? So we're kind of on par with where we're supposed to be, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things that Spurs fans are going to have to get used to, man. Like I said, the Spurs, they're not as good as you think they are. Spurs fans like to go ahead and say, oh, this team, they went on a 4-game winning streak. Look at how good they look. Look at how much better they're doing. That's good. That shows that they're growing. But you got to pump the brakes a little bit. They ain't world beaters, man. We've
Yeah.
even said as much. They have Wemby, they have Stephon Castle, Vassell, and a bunch of guys. You know, they don't have another superstar. Until this team pairs another superstar with Wemby, it's going to be more of the same. They don't have the talent to compete against some of the better teams in the Western Conference. And right now, they don't even have the talent to play consistent basketball. They still revert to their old bad habits, which I agree, man. It's frustrating, but it's probably even more frustrating for the coaching staff because they've gone out there and worked with these guys. They put in the hours and then they go out there and they just shit the bed the way they do. You know, it's like, come on, man. Like, what's going on? Mitch Johnson, he had a technical foul yesterday. He was getting upset. You know, he was getting
He had
fired up.
that. He had that pop tech. He had that
Yeah,
pop tech. You know what I mean? And I love it. I mean,
yeah,
I like that. Yeah, he's upset. You know, he's up. I don't think. I don't know, man. I don't think it's. I don't think it's like a lack of effort or lack that they don't want it. Like you said, ultimately, the talent gap in the NBA. I mean, the talent in the NBA is what it is. Like I said, we know that the Spurs are not a top. You know, as constructed, most people said, "Hey, they're not a playoff team." You know what I mean? They would be lucky to be in a play-in and all that kind of stuff. That's what most folks said at the beginning of the season. So they are kind of who we all predicted them to be. It's just frustrating when you see it, I guess, play out. You know what I mean, and whatnot. But Castle, Midtown Texas, is talking about Castle in the chat, or a lot of folks are. But that kid, man, he is like a throwback. Like you would not know that kid's a rookie. I mean, he did a sick no look, a fake pass, right, and then a move yesterday. The dimes and the passes that he does find, the slow mo hesitations that he's out there doing. That kid is legit, man. And my son and I were talking about it yesterday, and my son's like, there's no way that they cannot keep starting him. Like he has to stay in the starting lineup, you know. And my son's getting adamant about, you know, he'd be pissed if they don't start him or keep him in the starting lineup, even when everyone is back healthy. I agree that he should be in the starting lineup now. Whether what they do, you know, we know they like to do little things of, oh well, we like this guy to space, so that's why we like Champagne, or we like so, you know, different things. Harrison Barnes, you know, we like this veteran. Like the starting five isn't always the best five players. I mean, I think that's what people get confused about. Sometimes it's just a position thing of who we think the first five should be, and then bring people off the bench for different lineups or whatever. But Castle is a star in the making, man. I mean, the kid is legit, and we're definitely lucky to have him on the squad. You pair him with Wemby, they're a star away, man. You know, and I've always said this, and I don't mean this in any disrespect. To me, Devin was always a really good second or third guy, and I love Devin, man. Devin balls, Devin gets hot, Devin does his thing. But you know, I think you know, Sohan was always a good fourth guy, third or fourth guy, right? To have one of those guys as your number two guy, again, no disrespect to either one of them, wasn't ever going to be it, in
yeah,
my opinion, right? So now you're a star away, bro. You know, Castle could end up, you know, possibly being that Robin to Wemby, right? He could
yeah.
be the number two guy,
We got a
and
chat
then
coming in here too from James Pledger. He says, "Is Devin tradable to Spurs fan yet? He was off limits as the Hawks pick was in Mark talks." You know,
mhm.
and the thing is like we've even said, you know, like in the past, we're like, oh, Devin Vassell might be the only guy that's off limits at this point in time. I don't know, man. You got Stephon Castle, dude. You know,
I've said this from jump, and I will continue to say this. I won't ever change that. I don't think anybody's off limits other than Wemby, in my opinion. Like nobody's off limits. Now, to say that they're not off limits doesn't mean I want them to be traded. I'm saying, you know, in the right deal, in the right scenario, nobody's off limits, sans Wemby. Now the thing about trades, Devin is gonna be your most sought after person, you know, in the roster other than Wemby. Obviously, teams know Spurs aren't going to trade Wemby, so you're going to get your value. You're going to get a lot more back from a guy like Devin Vassell. We Spurs fans joke and laugh about like, oh yeah, let's trade Zach Collins for, you know, Trae Young. Like that's not going to happen, right? Like obviously, so you got to give something to get something, right? Obviously, like so. Devin and Keldon, guys like that, and even Jeremy would be very valuable to other teams to say, I want that player to
probably
give
thrive
you a
on another team versus this team right now. Right.
sure. Yeah, I mean, of course. So I, I think, I think, you know, everyone's on the table minus Wemby. and there's nothing wrong saying that. I'm not, again, like I said, I'm not sitting here saying I want Devin to be traded, but he's your best tradable asset. I mean, he's going to garner you a lot back, So if you get a mid star and some picks, and I mean, I'm interested to see what the trade deadline. I know the Spurs historically have not been buyers, in the deadline, but I don't know, man. I have a feeling that this year they might be looking in the market, man. They might be looking around and seeing what they could do. But yeah, I think Devin was a sticking point in the past, like Pledge said, when it came to trades and all that kind of stuff. I don't think I think the Spurs would rather make a trade and not get rid of Devin, in a perfect world. But to say he's untradeable is false, in my opinion.
And check this out, dude. I'm going to show you something here. And we're going to have this discussion here because even though he doesn't play for the San Antonio Spurs anymore, there was a lot of talk when DeMar DeRozan was here with the team. Some fans hated him. Some fans absolutely loved him. I don't think he got the respect that he deserved when he played here with the Spurs, But check this out, man. An NBA GM has not been named, but this is coming from NBA Dunk Central. They got a little excerpt here, and it says an anonymous NBA executive says DeMar DeRozan's game doesn't translate to winning basketball. This is what they said. DeMar DeRozan is a highly skilled player who is great to have in the locker room and a guy who you want to give the ball to at the end of the game, but his play hasn't driven winning. And it's something that unfortunately has been the case throughout his career, and it's part of why he's changed teams a bunch. I mean, what they're basically saying is that DeMar DeRozan is a good player. Unfortunately, his style of basketball isn't going to translate into a team actually winning and being able to play like an NBA Finals kind of thing. It's
Well,
like,
yeah,
and
I mean,
happening with the Raptors. He was with the Raptors,
mm,
and they could never get past LeBron James. They couldn't get past that hump there, which was the Cavaliers, and get to the NBA Finals when they had DeMar DeRozan on the team. They got the nephew, they got Kawhi, and look, lo and behold, they were able to get to the NBA Finals.
yeah. I mean, I think, I don't disagree to an extent of what they're saying, but I think it's kind of an unfair assessment. I mean, okay, to sit here, I don't think anybody's going to think that you're going to build DeMar DeRozan's going to be your number one star and you're going to build a championship around him and he's going to lead your team to a championship. I mean, I think that's common sense. I don't think that's a earth shattering. I think, he doesn't shoot the three ball, right? This is a 3-ball league, bro, baby. Like if you ain't hitting from behind the arc and if you ain't doing all the Splash Brothers stuff, you're kind of, you're not translating to winning. He's a solid workhorse, mid-range guy, locker room guy. He does like kind of what they all said. Is he going to be your deciding factor in winning a championship? No, but I don't ever think that was ever even a thing. I mean, when he was in Toronto, maybe and young, maybe, yeah, but to I would, I tell you what, DeRozan on this squad would be amazing. I mean, to have him with Wemby and these young guys and Castle. I mean, again, hindsight's always 20/20, but I think he contributes to winning ball. But yeah, to say he specifically is going to be the one to lead you to the promised land, I don't think that is, and I don't think anyone even, or I don't know whoever even accused him of being that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, we have a $5.47 super chat coming in from the Drew Show. Thanks again, Drew. We appreciate you, man. They go, bruh. He goes, Chicago has no talent. These dummies, 3, 4, 5-year vets, just the dirty diaper in the cup game. He goes, the next game, get demolished by the Bulls. He's like, F that, dude. So it's like, I get it, man. It's one of those things where Spurs fans, they still have that sting in the heart, that pain right there from losing to the Suns, and then they come back and they put this poor performance on against the Bulls. It's like, I get it, man. The Spurs fans they're always gonna be critical of the team, and again, they're looking for a scapegoat right now. And what they're gonna do is they're always gonna go ahead and focus on what Jeremy Sohan. It's always his fault. It's his fault. He's the one. I'm like, it's not just all Jeremy's fault. Let's not even put him in the mix, dude.
Yeah.
He had a decent game, but the problem is that the Spurs just didn't play very good team defense against the Bulls. But, the comments that an NBA exec allegedly said about DeMar DeRozan. I mean,
hey, we had a unnamed vet I'm sorry, unnamed NBA exec say Wemby doesn't contribute to offense, right?
yeah,
A month ago or so. Who knows? So I'm tired of this like unnamed NBA execs that want to talk and like you want to talk, but you don't want to say who you are. Like, so might as well not say anything, in my opinion. But that's just me. Going through some of the chat, man, these guys have me dying. Sam Salinas says, "Damn, Rick, the mimosas is 9 part champagne, 1 part OJ. You know how it
woo!
is. It's
Hey,
Friday. We don't give a damn." Like Mario Cavazza says.
man, the
Somebody was
mimosas
asked.
hit different. That's all.
Mimosa hit different, yeah. The champagne hits different, especially out here in SoCal, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's always early in California, baby. I think our boy Batista asked him if there's any boxing this weekend.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
ESPN rematch between Oscar Valdez and Emmanuel Navarrete. We'll get to that a little bit later. But it's not a high profile fight, but it's going to be a war out in Phoenix. So ESPN this weekend there is some boxing. Our boy Tony Gonzalez, I believe, was asking about big game against the UT in Georgia this weekend. There's a
Yeah,
lot going on, baby. There's a lot going on this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's done with their Thanksgiving and all their tryptophan comas, and we're looking towards the new year. We're looking towards the end of 2024 and with a bang. A lot of good sports and a lot of good things going. Yeah,
man, he's killing me with this, dude.
what
He's
do you
like,
say?
Joe, when Jeremy wasn't in the mix, we were playing better and winning and making comebacks in the NBA. Yes, a team's fortunes can indeed be attributed to a single player.
Yeah,
Hey,
man, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's you could point, you could find any game or any I guarantee you, anybody's agenda or anybody's opinion, you could find a game to support that. So in all, we haven't even played all 82 games, right? In the sample size of games that we've had, if you don't like Devin, you could probably find a game to point to your opinions right. If you
right.
don't like Jeremy, you could point to a game to find that right.
This is
If
the
you,
funny thing, man. Sam
yeah,
Salinas
yeah,
takes him some
yeah,
Jeremy Cohen,
yeah.
and Matt Lerma
Even
loves him some Jeremy Cohen, and he's like,
yeah,
"I'm
yeah,
still here,
yeah.
Liverpool." You know?
Yeah, even if you don't like Wemby, you can find a game to point to say your agenda's right. So I don't know, man. This to me, man, all agendas are bad. You know what I mean? Like all agendas don't matter, and because people get so fixated, and we live in this first take society, as I like to call it, where everybody thinks that we're on our own version of First Take or Get Up or whatever the ESPN show that you watch are. So people want to be right. People want to have hot takes, quote unquote, which I really hate. I hate hot takes. Like I hate because and then usually what happens is folks just say, oh well, yeah, I was wrong, or don't even say that. They just kind of point to another time they were right to talk about hot takes. But you have guys on here like Pledge and even Jeff and other folks who are very even keel. And I like that. That's the version of folks I like. The Jimenez hot takes and blowing whistles and being all loud and trying to be all crazy like that. That's to me that's like the Stephen A tactic of you're just trying to be as loud as you possibly can
You
and
calling out my boy?
and hope. I'm just saying, facts are facts. Facts are facts, baby. You know what I'm saying? But if you're a
Yeah.
'90s baby, you know about a fax machine. So it's facts, bro. So I'm just saying, man. Those are just for show. Those are just for let's be loud. Let's talk loud. Let's Stephen A. Smith. Hey, he's done well for himself. His
Yeah.
loud mouth has gotten him paid millions.
Somebody said they
So
want to trade Mike Jimenez for James Pledger.
there you go. There you go. I don't know if that's I don't even know if that's an even trade.
Oh man,
You'd have to add some fillers to you know what I mean? You'd have to add some stuff to make the money right. You know
we'd
what I
have
mean?
to
For
sweeten
that
the
trade.
deal.
You can't, yeah, exactly.
Cash
That
consideration.
deal would be denied by the league because it's not an even trade. You gotta have, you know what I'm saying, fillers and cap space, stuff and but I'm just saying, bro. And I get it. Like I said, man, that's the society we live in. We live in a social media clout driven society where it's always good to be right. It's always good to be, hey, I know ball. Hey, I know this. I know that. And then people get fixated on their agendas and stick with them.
Look at Sean Quintero, friendly.
Fernandez said Mike is just a dude. He is just a dude. He is. He is just a dude. Hell, I mean, sometimes being a dude is a compliment. I don't even know if we're going there. We need the chill. Was the chill guy? A meme.
Look at it. We got a $5.47 a super chat coming in from the Drew Show. Again, thanks, Drew. He says, if Mitch is the coach, you say Fernandez, he should hold Wempy out his game and tell those losers on the roster, show me something tonight. Hey, facts, bro.
Well, and again, it's funny. I'm not the guy that I'm not the guy that's saying Mitch is like better than Pop and Mitch is this great this, and I've never said all that. I'm saying Mitch is doing an admirable job in a very tough situation to take over for Pop. I think Mitch is doing a great job. That's my point. I've heard all this about how Mitch is different, how Mitch is just something out of this so different from Pop. I don't think he's that different from Pop. I mean, I think he's learning and he's doing his thing. And not too long ago, Jimenez was in here talking about Pop. Mitch is a better coach than Pop. Like that's ridiculous. I mean, that's insane to say that. And there's, yeah. He said Wemby needs to stop shooting, and it isn't. His offense is gonna go back to the mean or whatever he said. But we have fun. We're having fun out here. I love it. I love these shows, and we can just come out here and have fun. I'm an admitted not X's and O. I'm not going to sit here and like dissect all the plays and tell you all that. I'm not. I'm just a fan who likes to drink and likes to watch the games, man. Like, that's it. You're not going to get some X's and O breakdown from me. You're not going to get these think pieces about all this cap space stuff or whatever from me. That's not me. I'm just here to have fun, drink, and watch the Spurs, baby.
They got people on here saying that the show is better with Mike on. I'm like, Mike's coming back, dude. He's gonna be back on Monday. Right now, he's just not feeling good. They're like contract negotiations. I'm like, no, the dude he can't talk right now. He has a sore throat, bro. He's not feeling good. He's under the weather.
Real quick before we get into your screen, Daniel Bautista is talking about the passing of Israel Vasquez, one of the great boxing champions. Very, very sad news. Lost his battle with cancer. If you ever Israel Vasquez if you YouTube his fights with Rafael Marquez, the brother of Juan Manuel Marquez, they were amazing fights. Good catch from Daniel. Good catch from Daniel Bautista because losing Israel Vasquez to cancer was a tough one, man. So rest in peace, champ.
Yeah. So what we're going to get into as we go ahead and transition now, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about NFL football. But before we do, these are the latest standings in the Western Conference right now. You have the OKC, the Oklahoma City Thunder, over at number 1 right now. Number 2, the Rockets. Number 3, it's the Mavericks. And number 4, you have the Memphis Grizzlies. 5, Golden State Warriors. Clippers at number 6. Number 7 is the Suns. 8, you got the Nuggets. 9, the Lakers. 10, Minnesota Timberwolves. And looking on the outside, looking in now, are the San Antonio Spurs sitting at 11-11. You have the Kings at number 12, 10-13. That matchup's going to be instrumental tonight. Hopefully the Spurs can get a win and stay above the Kings. You have the number 13. You have Portland Trailblazers 8-14, and the New Orleans Pelicans at 5-18. They're at number 14 right now in the Western. And the last team in the Western Conference is the lowly Utah Jazz with just 4 wins under their belt, man.
This picture right here paints. It was on the Area 2-0 podcast, and you guys could go back and look at that. We talked about this, and Joe asked the question, what teams – this was at the beginning of the season. Yeah. What teams are the Spurs going to be better than, right? We were trying – and Matt was on it. Sith was on it. And again, man, I know people are going to give me crap about, you're just trying to put a positive spin. This right here is where most people thought the Spurs would be, who picked them to win 30, 35, 40 games. So why are you outraged about your own pick? I guess is my point. This is where we thought they'd be. They are right on par. If they were where the Jazz were sitting right now, I then could concede like, I mean, I can't get upset about where they're at right now when this is where we pretty much predicted they would be. We said they were going to win. So I just don't see the outrage. I don't get it. Like, you predicted them to win 30 or 40 games. Did you not expect them to be at this point? You know what I mean? I don't know. I think they're even right where they were predicted to be or slightly better. So I don't know, man. I can't. I don't know how. I mean, when you predict them to win 30 games, like, you understand they're going to lose all those other games, right? Yeah. Like you predicted that, right? Like, you predicted them to lose all those games. So why are we in an uproar? I don't know, man. People are asking about is Victor playing tonight. Like you
Oh
said, I
no,
haven't
man.
seen an official. I haven't seen an official announcement. I am not an insider and have no insight at all. But I would venture to say he's probably not going to play to New Orleans. I
Yeah,
think that's my opinion,
they're
but I don't know.
probably gonna hold him out a little bit more.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But as we go ahead and transition from our NBA talk here, talking Spurs basketball and the ongoings of the NBA, we're going to go ahead and pause here for a quick minute or two, for a quick couple seconds, should I say. We'll come back. We're going to go ahead and give some love to our boy, Christopher Leja of MCS General Contracting. We'll be right back. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leja over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show. And there you go. You want to go ahead and get that diamond hard concrete in your life, make sure you go ahead and call Christopher Leja over at MCS General Contracting. Number is 210-774-9155. Again, if you want to go ahead and get that basketball court, pickleball court, or you want to go ahead and get a parking lot or a landing on the side of your house there, go ahead and call Christopher Leja. Again, the number is 210-774-9155. And also go ahead and make sure you give some love to our boy, Jeff Garcia of the Locked On Spurs podcast. He's at 5,000 subscribers strong on YouTube and growing. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to his show, the Locked On Spurs podcast on YouTube. He brings you your daily Spurs content. So let's go ahead and transition here. Let's go ahead and talk about some NFL news, man. I know that everybody's, likes to talk about Spurs, but we got to talk about other things as well. So we're going to go ahead and show the results from the Thursday night football game. Was a close one, man. Green Bay against the Detroit Lions here. Detroit Lions, man, 12-1 on the season as they get the win over the Green Bay Packers by a final score of 34-31. And that also means that the Lions went ahead and punched their card. They are in the playoffs right now. They've already clinched a spot in the playoffs. Right now, I got to say that the Lions are probably the best team in the NFL right now. You're only as good as your record says you are. They're 12-1. They're looking like they're every bit Super Bowl bound. We're going to go ahead and see. Unfortunately for the Cowboys, man, they're going in a different direction. But, the Cowboy faithful is still going to go ahead and root for the hometown team, And they do have a game coming up here on Monday night. They're going to be playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. And that game's interesting, man, because that is going to be also televised on Disney Plus. So they're going to have some of the players and they're going to have some of the announcers kind of done in that Simpsons style, because this is going to be a game that they're going to show again on Disney Plus, as well as I believe ESPN. So you're going to already see some of the players here: Joe Burrow, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Micah Parsons. They've already got them animated, ready to go for the Simpsons themed telecast that's going to be happening on Disney Plus. So that's going to be again on December the 9th. It's going to be at 8 p.m. on Disney Plus and ESPN Plus as well. So you can go ahead and check that out. And look at Jason Garcia, man. Appreciate the super chat, man. $4.99 super chat from Jason Garcia. He says, Jeremy is the Tony Romo of the NBA. Not good enough to be on a team, but lucky enough to be on one.
That's funny. There was a couple of direct questions to me that I will answer.
Yeah.
I know we were moving on, but real quick, like I said, if you're going to ask a direct question, I definitely want to answer, right?
Sure.
So Sam Salinas asked, honest question, Rick, as it stands right now, do you want the team to pick up Sohan's option? I do. I mean, I think he could be an integral part of this team. I think he could be a really, really good fourth man on the team. The dude, when he's asked to just do what he's supposed to do, and that's one thing I will agree with him, man, is it doesn't happen often. But when you put somebody in a position to do things that they're not good at, like be a point guard, that isn't setting them up for success. But to do what you're asked to do, rebound, dirty work, the Rodman-esque style, yeah, I think once everybody was healthy, let's say the Spurs had another star, and you got Castle and Wemby, another star, and if somehow you're able to keep Sohan and Devin, then I think that's what you do. Roy said, "Are you happy with the Spurs having another losing season? This will be their sixth or seventh season losing. Blah blah blah. Are you okay with it as the team is constructed?" Well, again, I know. I mean, I think they need another star, and that's another thing that fans get so fixated on is like whether I'm okay with it or not is irrelevant. Like the Spurs are gonna do what they're gonna do. Like I'm a Spurs fan, so I am gonna support my team. Now, yes, like as constructed, they are not going to win a championship. Like that's not earth-shattering news, right? No, like they need they're a star away. They're a star away. There are De'Aaron Fox, a Luca, Giannis,
Sure.
or a Devin Booker or something. They're that piece away. Add one of those guys with this team. Yes, they need to do something to actually win a championship. So as constructed, I'm not saying they're going to win a championship, but that's the team that I got. That the team that I have is who's out there on the court. I'm going to support them. I'm going to root for them.
Yeah, so we have also this coming in as well. So check this out, man. Might make you happy or sad. So Archie Manning, man, they said if somebody asked me, I'd say Cowboys on who he wants
oh,
to draft.
oh,
Archie Manning.
oh, oh my God! Don't give me a heart attack on a Friday morning, man.
Hey,
Man, can you imagine that circus?
what are you gonna
Man,
do with that?
I mean, well, Arch is a couple of years away. That's a good thing, actually. I mean, Arch is a year away from leading, the Longhorns to even more glory. You're set up pretty well right now for yours to take the team to the SEC championship the first year they're in the SEC, which is not an easy feat by no means.
Yeah.
Going into at Georgia, playing with that raucous crowd without Bevo, because Bevo isn't allowed into the state of Georgia apparently. So Arch is going to have a good 2-3 years still with the Longhorns of glory. 2-3 years from now, man, who knows, man? That'd be amazing to have Arch in a Cowboys uniform.
So we got to ask you, man, because we have a game coming up here, right? A big game. So there's a huge game coming up tomorrow if you're a college football fan, especially if you're a UT football fan. So what's happening tomorrow, man? We got a big matchup. We got the Texas Longhorns at Georgia.
Rematch, baby.
3 p.m. tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, what do you
one low,
man?
Woo, man. Oh, so you got that you see that record, 11-1.
Yeah.
You know where that one loss came from, baby. You know where that one loss came from. Them Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah, them dogs, man, are beasts, bro. They don't stop. It's gonna be really tough to win in Georgia. I will say that. Winning in Georgia is gonna be tough. They might see each other again down the road in the actual championship. I think Texas can. Again, I'm a UT guy. I'm a UT grad. I graduated from the University of Texas Navy Marine ROTC program. So I'm biased. I'm putting that out there. I'm not gonna deny that. But I think Texas finds a way to pull it out, man. I really do. They have to. If Texas doesn't win this game, then it's kind of like, I mean, they're still gonna get in the tournament. They're still gonna get in the playoff, but you got to win this game to put some doubt in Georgia to say, if we see you again in the championship or in the playoff, we got you. You got to have that 1-1 and then go into the rubber match, right? If Georgia wins this game, then it's going to be kind of perceived that, all right, Texas is probably the second best team, but Georgia's going to come out at the end in the whole tournament. So Texas has to win this. Texas has to win this.
You talk about a must win. This is the stereotypical, phrase of must win.
Yeah,
Texas needs to beat this football team.
And again, not in a must win as in people are going to be like, oh, you guys are being over dramatic. Not in a must win as in, okay, if they lose, they're still going to get in the playoffs. But I think mentally, man, it's between the ears, man, the psychology of the game. If you lose to Georgia a second time, you almost feel like I just can't beat that team. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to beat them. So Texas can have a great year and go to the championship game and lose. And listen, bro, Texas, for those programs, winning is a championship is all. You could go to the national championship game and lose, and they're going to feel like it was a bad season or whatever. So I think for mentally, man, they got to win the game tomorrow. Got to win the game tomorrow.
And
So,
now look at this. Tim Gonzalez is saying, and I was just about to show the games as well,
yeah.
as far as what games are going to be on the docket. So let me go ahead and hide that one and go ahead and bring up the screen share here so y'all can see this. Here's the other games that are on the docket for tomorrow and for today. For today, you got Army, number 24 Army going up against Tulane at 7 o'clock today. Again, you also have number 10 Boise State going up against number 20 UNLV. That gets underway at 7 o'clock today as well. Tomorrow's docket, Iowa State versus Arizona State, going to happen at 11 a.m. We already talked about Georgia and Texas. That's going to happen at 3. Penn State and Oregon, that's going to be a good matchup as well. That one takes place at 7 p.m. tomorrow. And you're going to have number 17 Clemson going up against number 8 SMU, the Ponies, man, at 7 o'clock tomorrow, man. Who do you got?
This is a fun time for college,
man. SMU,
yeah,
what do you got?
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, man. Clemson is they're a former blue blood, bro. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't discount them. I know they've fallen off and all that, but Clemson remembers those glory days, man. You know what I mean? I know they're different players, but Clemson's a tough team, man. That don't discount Clemson at all.
Some would argue that they haven't beat a team of merit yet. You know?
They haven't. They haven't. But they haven't. But what I'm saying is, this time of year is like things happen. It's almost like March Madness. You know what I mean? Like anything can happen. Some of those programs, like Clemson, right, who used to be always at the top, they were always number one and all that. They've fallen off grace a little bit. That's a proud program, man. You think they don't want to go out on a high note? You know, to them, this is their national championship. Like, why not, right? So, but I think SMU can squeak by. I think SMU can get them. I think the Ponies. I'm gonna ride with the Ponies. I'm gonna put my money on the Ponies.
Yeah, I think the Ponies are gonna win too, man.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's fun. Ishan, I don't know, Ishan 1. I don't know if I don't know if that's a new name. Maybe I just haven't seen it before. But shout out to you. He's saying, yeah, I'm excited about the new 12 team. It's amazing. I love it. Yeah, this is great. You know, and then again, we're gonna see upsets. You know, the good thing about these games and these playoff scenarios is we're going to see some upsets, man. You know what I mean? We're going to see some upsets. It's a one and done, man. It's not a series, you know. I love series, like obviously like an NBA and MLB, but what I love about one and done, like March Madness, is on any given day, man. On any given day, baby, somebody can pull it off. So it's going to be fun.
You know, another thing is, too, we're going to go ahead and take a quick pause right now because we're going to transition. We're going to start getting into the last bit of talk here. Because we'll probably end the show a little bit early here, but we're going to go ahead and talk about me and you and what our favorite passion is, and that is boxing, man.
You already know, baby.
We're going to go ahead and give some love here to our friend. He's going to be Jeff Garcia of the Locked On Spurs podcast. So we'll be right back. Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Yeah, so make sure you go ahead and give some love again to Jeff Garcia. And thank you, for supporting the show. He's of the Locked On Spurs podcast. And again, you can go ahead and follow him on the X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So thank you for all you do here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and transition now and talk about something that's near and dear to our hearts, man. And that's going to be boxing, dude. We got to go ahead and talk about boxing because we don't really get a chance to talk about boxing here on Fridays. But that's why I like bringing you on, because me and you both love boxing, man. So there's been rumors around Canelo, Terrence Crawford. That's going to be his next fight. Canelo says, and he went on record and denies Crawford's next. He says that that's not a thing. Do you believe him, or you think he's just saying, nah, man, I just haven't signed the contract yet? What do you think's going on?
Yeah, it's tough, because they are and they're separated by a handful of weight classes, to be honest with you. It's tough to negotiate. Canelo fights at 168. He's even gone as high as 175. Crawford, is a legit 154 pounder. I mean, the dude, a lot of people that know boxing understand that most of these fighters walk around in there's walking around weight and then there's fight weight, right? You cut weight. So a lot of these guys maybe walk around at about 180 pounds and then they cut weight to fight at 140, 135, which sounds crazy, but it's a thing. Crawford is a legit 154 pounder. Maybe he could go to 160. It's hard to see him going to 175 or 168. That'd be a great fight. I mean, Crawford is extremely skilled. The dude has all the tools. Canelo has slowed a little bit and is a little bit advancing age, but he's still the man. He's still the man. So I think that would be a great fight. It'd be a huge, money grab. My old adage is 9 times out of 10, the good big guy usually beats the good little guy. I mean, generally speaking. So I think Canelo still has enough to edge him out just because he's bigger. If they were the same weight, I would say Crawford. I think Crawford at this point in his career is more, he's just at more of a prime part of his career than Canelo is. But just given the size, I just don't think Crawford can hurt Canelo. But it's interesting, man. And these rumors have been floating around, and I feel like just recently they've gotten a lot more serious. But Canelo, like Floyd, at a point in his career, he's starting to run out of opponents. You know what I mean? He's starting to run out of marquee opponents. You can the guys like Berlanga and all those guys, and no disrespect to those guys. Those are good, young, strong challengers, man. But you're running out of marquee names. You know what I mean? Cinco de Mayo, the SECs, those big fight cards. We want big fights, right? We want big names, So I think I used to think that it was a pipe dream for that fight. Like, man, it's never gonna happen, right? I think it could. It could. I think it could happen. I think that there's a sneaky way that it might be one of those where they're something's brewing. They're up to something.
They're
right?
talking, dude.
They're talking. They're talking. Yeah. They're talking, bro. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you look at the contrast in styles, boxing styles from Canelo, who is more of a defensive fighter, that's why a lot of people say his fights are boring. If you're a true steward of the game of boxing, you're gonna appreciate what Canelo for what he is. I know a lot of people are like, well, who does he fight? He fights nobodies. He's in that stage of his career now where he can choose to go ahead and just earn the paycheck. We
don't even have enough time in this podcast to talk about that. You know what I mean? Because
I understand that though, man.
But I know. And Floyd ran into the same problems, man. Like it's the equivalent of you don't know ball. You know what the equivalent of you don't know ball is Roger Mayweather's quote. You don't know shit about boxing. That's what Roger Mayweather used to say that, right? You don't know shit about boxing. And I had this shirt, and I can't find it anymore, that said that you don't know shit about boxing. And that's kind of the equivalent of you don't know ball. But it's laughable to say things like, oh, Canelo hasn't fought like anyone, whatever. Like, look at his resume, man. Like, even Floyd. You can hate Floyd all you want. You could, I got all that. People, I'm talking about, like, go back when Floyd fought Gaddy.
In their primes. Yeah.
In their prime. Gaddy, man, Freddie. Those guys in their primes, do Gennaro Chicanito Hernandez. Like you got to go back to those fights and you earn a certain status in boxing where you become a guy like a Pacquiao, like a Floyd, like a Canelo, where you went on the tear and beat everybody. And now you did it in underground, only hardcore fans saw. Yeah. And then the casual fan is like, whoa, you just came on the scene. No, they've been putting in work all these years, and they get to a level where they do kind of get to pick and choose their opponents. Now, I don't mean pick and choose your opponents as like you want an easy fight or you're scared of somebody. You make smart business decisions, right? You find what does the money look like? All that kind of stuff. So
what do the promotions look like as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got I love when we start talking about boxing because the real boxing people start talking in the chat and who knows boxing. You know boxing, right? Mexican Junior is always one of them, right? He's talking about Benavidez, right? Hanover Fist is even talking about the super card in February in Saudi. Let me tell you, bro, that card,
His Excellency.
Exactly. You got Bevo rematch, right? With Better BF is going to be amazing. You're going to have Virgil Ortiz on that card. You're going to have Shakur Stevenson on that card, which is going to be a great. I'm telling you, bro. I might look at tickets to Saudi, man. I'm just saying, bro. If you see me ringside wearing the traditional dress, mind your business. You know what I'm saying? Mind your business. I'm just saying that card, that Saudi card in February is gonna be something else, man.
That'd be a good matchup, man. No
Yeah.
doubt.
So
He's
shout
trying to
shout
do
out to
good
Hanover
things.
Fist for bringing up that card.
Yeah, they're trying to do good things over there. His Excellency, he's a
Yeah.
smart man, dude. He's trying to bring
Yeah.
the world of boxing together in a way that's been unparalleled here in the States. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing it. If you know, you
Yeah.
know, man. We don't got enough time to
Yeah.
go over all that.
Yeah. You see, the Drew show is showing his ass by saying if you got to defend Canelo by talking about he fought Arturo Gatti. I'm not even talking about Canelo. See, Drew show don't even know what he's talking about. I'm talking about Floyd. I said Floyd fought Gatti in
Floyd,
his prime.
yeah.
Canelo never fought Gatti. Like everybody knows that, except for the Drew show apparently. And he's saying that the guy's dead and all this kind of stuff. So again, this is what we're talking about levels of knowing boxing. Like no one said Canelo fought Gatti. I said Floyd fought Gatti. So Drew show doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to boxing. He might know his stuff about the Spurs and the $5.47, and that's all great. But you're talking about Canelo fighting Gatti. Nobody said that. But yeah, again, man, boxing is it's kind of a niche sport, I guess, where like you gotta like really. There's hardcore fans, like there's hardcore boxing fans, and I get it, man. Like I'm not trying to gatekeep. I'm not trying to be like, oh, whatever. But it's like the Olympics when like no one cares about the Olympics until they come around every 4 years. All of a sudden, everybody's like fencing experts and everybody's like swimming experts, whatever. Same thing with boxing, right? Most people don't give a shit about boxing until there's a big fight, until there's a big, big, big fight. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But some of us, like I boxed as a kid, right? Like I grew up like going into the ring. And I'm not trying to act like I'm some big badass. I'm just saying, like, you have an appreciation when you've stepped through those ropes and been in the ring with somebody, you know what I mean? One on one, man on man, it's just you and them. And like you could die in that ring. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to be dramatic, but
We also have
yeah.
too that I want to get into as well, because we want to go ahead and give a big shout out to the legend himself, Manny Pacquiao,
Yeah.
being inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame class
Yeah.
of 2025. That's a huge honor for him, man.
Absolutely. Manny Pacquiao, man, that dude, revolutionized the sport of boxing. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who went from 106 pounds to fighting at 147. You know what I mean? He went up multiple weight classes and dominated, right? I mean, he was. I mean, the dude was just amazing. His fight style was come forward, never back down. I wish him and Floyd fought earlier. We all know that, right? That fight was about 5 years too late. I still think Floyd's style would have beaten him anyway. I think Floyd's, the way you beat a massive puncher is just by boxing and slick styles. It would have been like a Chavez Pernell Whitaker style type of fight. But shout out to the class of 2025, which is Pacquiao, Vinny Pazienza. For those of you who don't know, broke his neck in the '90s. Was told he would never walk again, and actually got back in the ring and fought, guys like Hector Camacho and different folks. And then my guy Michael Nunn, right? I think Mexican Jr. brought it up earlier, and I promise you we'd go back to that. Michael Nunn. If you don't know anything about Michael Nunn, man, YouTube him, Google him. Dude from Davenport, Iowa, one of the slickest fighters in the 80s and 90s. Fought guys like James Toney, Marlon Starling, and all those fighters. Was one of the top fighters in the 90s. And then found himself in some trouble. Did 16 years in prison, came out, redeemed himself, does a lot of stuff with the youth, does a lot of stuff with boxing, and is very well-deservingly inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Look at Drew's show. He's saying box's biggest date in the past 20 years was a YouTuber fighting a broke-down 60-year-old man. Netflix on Netflix, and the thing is,
yeah.
Netflix is hot water for that, man, because they had
that's to the casual fan, like Drew. I get it.
Exhibition.
Yeah. It's a casual. It's to a casual fan, I understand that. You know what I mean? And I remember when UFC got onto the scene, everybody said UFC was gonna like put an end to boxing, right? And everybody said, oh, UFC is gonna like kill boxing. It's still going on. Dana White wants to get involved in boxing. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. Like, and the Drew show is like going on and on and on in the chat about how great MMA is.
I like MMA.
Look at their paychecks. No, and I don't follow MMA. I don't follow MMA. I don't follow UFC. I just, when that all came on and a lot of people were jumping ship, I get all that. I don't not like it. It's just not my thing. You know what I mean? Like it's short. It's for like a short attention span. Like you want a quick punch and a quick knockout, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate a long, like skilled boxing fight, and you can like both. Like I'm not like there's a lot of people that like both. It's like a Pop versus Mitch thing. It's not like you have to only like one or the other. Yeah, it's apples and oranges.
Fighter and a boxer is different, dude.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges.
Fighter,
right.
You can turn them into a boxer or teach them to box.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that they're a boxer.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges. Yeah, it's apples and oranges, and it's funny because the Drew show is showing my point here in the chat. You never hear boxers going on and on and on about MMA. Like MMA people are always like, have boxing in their mouth. You know what I mean? It's MMA people are always like, well, MMA is better than boxing, and MMA would kill a fight. And MMA, like boxers, like don't have to like talk and prove. Like boxing has been around since like the Greco-Roman days, back in the day, where boxing has sustained, and boxing has its problems. By oh my god, promoters, sharks in the sport. Bad decisions, I get all that. Boxing has its problems, but, MMA and UFC specifically is, as Pop would say, is neophyte in terms of like the long term, how long boxing's been around, right? Boxing has been around. It's gone in waves. It looked like it was dead and then it got revitalized. Every so often you have these like,
they've been saying that for the last 20 years. Boxing,
of course. Boxing's supposed. Yeah. Even before that, honestly. I mean, you want to talk about. You even go all the way back to guys like in the 20s, man. Jack Dempsey. You know what I mean? The 30s, Joe Louis. Like, you know what I mean? The 60s, Ali. People thought boxing was going to be dead after those guys, right? After a Dempsey. Boxing's dead. Well, Joe Louis came around. Okay. After Joe Louis, boxing's dead. Well, Muhammad Ali came around. Boxing's dead. Mike Tyson came in the 80s, right? So there's always these renaissance periods in boxing, right? So it's going to go up, it's going to go down. It has nothing to do with MMA. It has nothing to do with karate. It has nothing to do with... In the 80s, karate was a big thing, right? In the 80s, and people... That's what's funny to me is people thought in the 80s that karate was going to take over and boxing was dead. Just like the way people say MMA is going to do now, right? So... boxing is just always going to sustain it. It's a true and tested sport, and you lose fans because casuals will go to MMA and all that kind of stuff, and that's okay. But it's maintained its niche style for all these years.
Hey, and this is facts too, man. Drew says boxing exists because gambling exists. Racing exists, and that's the thing. Everybody likes to go ahead and bet, even on MMA. People
bet on basketball. People bet on football. People bet on presidential elections. I mean, the Drew show is to say boxing exists because of gambling exists. That's actually ridiculous. I mean, boxing has been around since the 1800s and 1900s, like when there wasn't any gambling.
You're going to bet on sports.
Yeah. People are going to bet on anything. People are going to bet on I mean, people bet on anything that's going on in the world. Like I've seen people take bets on a political campaign.
We gotta have to talk about real quick before we end the show. They're asking you, Fernandez, who do you like, Usyk or Fury?
Man, that's a good question. That's a good one. I'll tell you what, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought Fury was too big for Usyk in the first fight. I thought Fury was gonna win that fight. I predicted Fury, and I was wrong. Usyk is just too skilled, man. So I say Usyk takes him even in the second fight. Usyk is so skilled. He's like the Vasily Lomachenko of that division. I mean, the dude is well skilled, well crafted. I got a Usyk on that one. I ain't gonna lie. I used to think Fury was just too big for Usyk, but man,
Usyk's the warrior, bro.
Usyk is, man. That Ukrainian mental toughness, man.
That boy, he could take a punch too, man. He could take some damage, man. He's a fighter, dude. I like his style. And I got Usyk as well against, when they're going to go ahead and have the rematch, Usyk and Fury too. Give me Usyk
Yeah,
again, dude. I think he's gonna
yeah,
go ahead and
yeah,
he's gonna beat him twice. And then what can
yeah,
Fury
man.
say
Usyk's,
other than shake his hand? You beat me, bro.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, man. But you can't count out Fury. Mexican Junior is saying that he's got Fury. It's not. That's not a. Yeah, you could be right, man. Because I'll tell you, Fury, man, when he's motivated and he's in shape and he's hungry, Fury is. I mean, the dude fought Vitaly Klitschko. You got to remember, man. Fury's done his time, done his thing, man. But man, Usyk is just so skilled and so disciplined. It's hard to bet against him. I bet against him last time.
I was
But
watching his brother fight against Fury,
yeah,
man, when they were in the ring and they were fighting the first time. And I was like, hold up, man.
yeah,
This little brother's bringing it, dude.
mhm,
Like he was
mhm,
getting in close. He was doing what he needed to do.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
getting in close
yeah,
quarters,
yeah,
keeping that,
mhm,
bringing the fight to Tyson Fury, man.
yeah.
And
You
even
know,
though he was
and
taking some hits, he was dishing them out
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I even even Drew's going on still on the chat about people don't know who the main events are in fights. I actually like that boxing is like it's like a fraternity. You know what I mean? Like if you really know boxing, then like it's I'm glad it's not mainstream. I'm glad it's not as mainstream as
Yeah.
UFC and all this other stuff because it kind of dilutes it. Like I'm telling you, man, when there's a big fight like a Canelo fight or when there was a Pacquiao or Mayweather, it's just always funny to me when I start seeing people who never talk about boxing, who never know, all of a sudden are like experts, right? And that's okay. I get it, man. I like I said, I akin it to the Olympics where if I was like a guy who loved fencing, right? And I love fencing and I watch it every day and I know all the fencing guys. When the Olympics come around, now you're watching, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's funny to me because I'm like, oh, now you care about fencing. Okay. Same thing with boxing. Like, I'm glad that it's not as mainstream as Drew Show wants it to be when he's talking because it's unique. It's a fraternity. You know what I mean? It's people who know boxing who start
Yeah.
talking about Israel Vasquez, Raul Marquez, Michael Nunn, you know, Fernando Vargas, right? We start talking like real boxing, Paul Williams. You get our boy John Dyer on here, right? He'll start spitting
Oh yeah,
boxing.
man.
You almost you get this connection with people who know boxing because it's not a mainstream thing. It's a niche thing. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's sustained the test of time. It's been around before
Gonna
UFC,
keep on being
before
it.
MMA, before all this stuff. Yeah, and it's going to keep being that way.
Yeah.
So,
Little known fact though, because we're gonna go ahead and bring the show to an end though. But I was actually named after the fighter Joe Louis. That's my name, Joe Louis Garcia.
that's awesome, bro. That
Yeah.
is awesome. I'll tell you, man, that's awesome. And those guys like Joe Louis, man, he gave up time in his career, in his prime to join the army. Back in the 30s. You know what I mean? Like, you want to talk about the character of somebody who steps into that squared circle, man. Like, that just shows you. So that's awesome, bro.
Yeah, my grandpa was big into boxing, and so was my dad too. So
Yeah,
my grandpa's favorite fighter was Joe Louis because he got to see him, So it's like, hey,
yeah, yeah,
so it just kind
yeah.
of stuck with them. But yeah, man,
Mhm.
I was always my family's always been big into boxing since I was a kid. Listening to my grandpa tell me some of the fights that he saw because my grandpa he was in the service, dude. He was in the army.
Yeah, yeah,
He's carried over in Fort Sam, man. He
yeah,
served
yeah.
in a lot of wars.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
he was
And yeah,
in the fight, yeah.
Drew Show, our boy Drew Show is still talking about the all the titles and all the dilution in the sport. Again, I don't think you follow me on Twitter because I think you just I don't know I don't know what you know of me or don't know of me, but I say the same thing. I agree. I hate all the titles. I just tweeted something about Floyd talking about how stupid it is to have all those
Yeah, all
titles
those
and
titles.
none of that stuff matters. So
And then
the
it's
Drew
just a
show,
money grab. They gotta
the Drew show is trying to tell me things that I've already said multiple times on my Twitter that all those titles don't matter, all those titles don't mean anything. We know again, if you know boxing, you know who the real champion is and all that. You don't need to worry about the 50 or 60 titles and all that. So I already know all those things. I talk about all those things. If you want to know that, then follow me. If you don't, then that's fine. But you know, it is what it is, man. Every sport has their problems, you know what I mean? But like I said, it's apples and oranges. Like
yeah.
you want to tear down boxing because you want to, lift up MMA. I just like boxing. Like I don't care about MMA. I don't
Yeah, we
care
just
about
like
other
the
stuff.
sport.
Like yeah, exactly. Like you can try to tear down what you want because you're upset or you're angry or whatever. Like again, boxing is boxing. It's always going to be boxing. Um, you know, and like I said, if you don't like it, then just don't watch. And a lot of it's funny because like the Drew show especially is a lot about boxing to not like it. You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? Like
No,
it
I'm sure
just
he
like
does,
it's
man. He's
yeah,
he's an
that's what I'm saying.
intelligent guy, dude.
No, I believe he is. I believe he's intelligent, but that's what I'm saying. Is like you are very knowledgeable, intelligent about something that you don't like. If I don't like something, I'm just not going to care for it. Like I'm just that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tear it down. You know what I mean? I'm not going to. It's just same thing with like the Spurs or whatever. Like there's so many people that put so much energy in tearing it down and being negative and
Yeah.
I mean, if I don't like something, I'm just not going to fuck with it.
Yeah.
You know, that's me. That's my approach. Maybe that's a wrong or a different approach, but that's fine. You know, it's just like somebody on Twitter. If I know you and I don't like you, then I'm just not gonna fuck with you. You know,
Yeah.
people come at me all the time on Twitter like, I remember when you cheated on your wife and you're a fucking asshole and you're this and you're
Try
that. I'm
again.
like, bro,
Try again.
you're putting a lot of energy into somebody you don't know and you don't like. Like, I don't understand that.
But
You know
what's
what
the
I
thing
mean?
that I've
So
always told you, bro? There's always two sides to every story, man. We only
yeah.
hear one side, bro. Like, come on,
Mm,
man. But you know what? We're
yeah.
gonna go ahead and bring the show to an end because I got to get to work here and I got to log in early, take care of some business here because we got to bring our network back up to 100% again. So
Yeah,
we're over
yeah,
here working for the Department of Homeland Security. We're trying to go ahead and
yeah.
protect everybody and keep them safe. So we got to make sure things are working again.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we're gonna go ahead and bring the show to an end. But before we do, where can they follow you on the X?
Hey, at Real Fernandez, definitely appreciate the follow. Appreciate everybody on here. I appreciate Joe for letting me be on this platform. Even Jimenez, that we like to cook him. You know, appreciate what he does for this platform. And yeah, man.
All right, man. So make sure you go ahead and follow Rick. You can go ahead and follow me too at Area 210 Podcast. So for Fernandez, and I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you boys on Monday. We're out. Peace. Go Longhorns.
Stay puro.